Next morning he had a very, beautiful fragrance coming out from that house. And he wanted to investigate where this beautiful fragrance was coming from. So he enters the house and he said that I saw these four people lying dead there, and there was flour lying on the floor. And I thought this fragrance was coming from the flour, and I rolled in that flour, and half of my side has turned into gold. Now I wander all over the world looking for another such flour that can turn my other half into gold. Your sacrifice, Yudhishthir, is not the right one, I am sorry. So saying, he left the place. This was only Lord Krishna's way of pointing out to Yudhishthir that this pride was not the right thing.
Well, it embarrasses me to say that these are questions I thought of asking you.
What are these questions?
But I've been rejecting them all. I don't feel like
Why?
asking them anymore.
Then I'll ask him.
Here's one or two seem sort of interesting. You want me to?
What are these? Why do you say one or two are interesting, and why did you write the others which are uninteresting then?
Well, I wrote them. I tried to formulate questions that I thought represent confusions that go on a lot among the Baba community that I know, where I live. So they're not so much personal questions for me as much as areas that I thought it would be fruitful to ask you about in general.
If I know, I will let you know.
I guess this is my cue. Okay. Here's one that I thought of asking. Why don't I just read it since I put it down succinctly in my little contraption. Okay. Some Baba lovers experience a strong need to be told what to do by an external authority because they honestly do not feel Baba's inner presence or guidance, and so they feel insecure. What guidelines do you suggest for learning to be with Baba internally in a living way as one's soul master and beloved?
Well, the thing is that there are some who need to have the guidance and all that. Why can't they try for that? You go have the experience of it and see whether they are helped. If they are helped, well and good. If they are not helped, they will leave. And they will catch hold of somebody else. Yeah, and it goes on. Trials and errors and trials and errors. And eventually they come to learn. So the best way is to totally rely upon Him. Now let us take the case, you see. We have the embodiment of God in Meher Baba, or in Jesus the Christ, or in Ram or Buddha or anything other sort. But take the case, you see, where we don't have any embodiment or any personification of that something which we call God. The God. There are millions of people, you see, who rely upon God and who worship Him and think of Him and love Him and all that. What must be happening to them? God must be telling them something inside from within, or God must be dictating some terms to them, or what must be happening to them? They don't even know where to look for Him, so they look up above in the skies, and they don't know. They hear hither and thither. Fortunate are they who have had the awareness that that same God for whom they were longing or praying to or wanting to have a voice, hear a voice from Him or anything, some are aware that He has come in their midst in the human form. And that's how we take Him to be Meher Baba, or Him to be so-and-so Buddha, or Jesus and this and that and so forth. So we have Him and they don't feel the inner guidance. So they want somebody live to guide them. So they can go to schools and colleges and they have their parents and they have their friends to guide them. So let them be. What harm is there? It is a personal experience, you see. One has to learn through trials and errors. There is no set pattern. The only set pattern, to answer your question, is to totally rely upon Him. As I told you the other day, you see, kid oneself into loving him, kid oneself into trying to be totally relying upon him. You begin with that kidding and you get it. So without that effort, well, the easy way is to go out and find out. Ask Bruce or John or Craig, will you please help me out? Will you show me some signs? Will you give me some advice and all that? Learn through trial and errors. But the easiest way is this, to rely upon, catch hold of somebody, some form, catch hold of some form. Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or Allah or whatever you want, call him, or Meher Baba, and rely upon him totally. Total reliance. It's a gamble. Baba says you have been gambling all throughout your reincarnationary processes. Time and again you have been gambling. And even in this life, it's nothing but a gamble. You don't realize what's going to happen as soon as you step out of this door. It's gambling. That you believe that you are going to go out for a cup of tea now because the bell has rung, you see. Yeah. But it's a gamble. You don't know what's going to happen now, you see. But you gamble it and you succeed in the gambling and you earn the cup of tea, you see, as a gift, you see. So likewise, he says, gamble with me, relying exclusively upon me. And in that gamble, do it, gamble. You have been gambling all throughout your life, this life also, apart from all the past lives. And this gambling, if you were to gamble seriously with me, it won't be in vain. But be serious. As serious and as well confident as you are that you will step out of this door and you will earn a cup of tea now. That seriousness, that confidence should be there in total reliance upon him. You go back in a bus, you are serious and you are confident that you'll come again. Yeah. Aren't you that confident? Yeah. You forget about it, what's going to happen next moment. But you are so confident that you will be back. So if you can have that confidence in total reliance upon him, then just see, gamble that way and it won't be in vain, he says. That's what he told us. So, total reliance upon him as a child who relies upon his mother while holding the skirt of the mother. Has no fear, has that confidence, the warmth. And the child goes about where the mother carries the child. This is the answer that I'm prompted to give now. But still, if people want to try, why shouldn't they try? Try. Through trial and error, they will learn. That the only way is to fall back on him, time and again. There's no other way out, no escape. And all this is nothing but leading to that. Suppose I know it, I'm aware of it, I'm fond of Baba and I love him and I've been with him for 40 years or 30 years or 2 years or whatever it is, and I know it. He has told me that just totally rely upon him and all that. Fine, wonderful. I'm relying upon him. All of a sudden I come across a personality, you see, and it's so attractive, and my heart goes out to the person, you see, and I begin to follow him. It is also by his grace that personality again leads me more forcefully to him. How? By deceiving me. It's his will. I am attracted to him. But the way that the deceit works within my heart and my mind is such, it has such an impact upon me that I come back to him with greater force, with greater confidence. You see, that's how it is. So all these things leading from one house to another house, from one man to another guide, another preceptor and all that, that is good. It is his plan. So that eventually you come to me with greater force, greater confidence, greater reliance after having tried all. That's why he would always tell us, if you want to go out for sightseeing, go out before you come to me. Once you come to me, carry my love back home. Straight. Finish. So try all that and then come to me. That's what he said. So tell them, try to bring home to them, but if they are adamant, then allow them to wander. There's a lot of grazing ground, no doubt about it. Let them graze, let them feel nourished and all that. What? Oh, you want some set pattern? Yeah. There's no set pattern.
No.
That's the pattern.
You know what he has said about himself and thus we are used to forms because we are forms. We are made of forms, isn't it? I am used to the form. So when Elizabeth sits here, I feel this form. I say, oh, you are Elizabeth, looking there. I use my sight, to see her physiognomy. Once I am told that this is Elizabeth, I can recognize that, I feel that. Yeah, suppose if my sight is taken, I feel that, yeah, she is there. This is Elizabeth. This is my cousin Sam, yeah. So my form is used to recognize other forms, you see. So we deal in forms, and form creates confidence, form creates a feeling of companionship, form creates warmth, form creates confidence, and all that sort of thing is there. And also vice versa, the opposites are there. But with him, he has said this, that what am I? And which Francis has used it, you see. This is truth and truth's body. So what you see is that he sheds his body. He has shed his body. You accept that he is truth, but now he is not there. So he has shed the body of truth. But do you mean to say that the truth is shed? Truth remains, you see. And the truth is, hold on to him. Hold on to him. Him means what? When he is not there, then where to hold on to? The things he has said. When Buddha was asked that, Lord, after you leave, what will remain of us? What is there that we should cling on to? The law that I have given will be eternal. Means his messages, his edicts that were given, you see. It is there. They will be there. They are exactly as I am. My body was nothing but to speak out that. When I withdraw the speech, the truth remains. So you have to adhere to that. What I have said. And he has said, don't go astray. Don't go from door to door. Hold on to my Dhamma until the very end. All these are the truth, the law that he has given. So there is no such thing, no qualms now. Either you want to find loopholes or you want to adhere to him. Yeah. Whether he is in body or not, it's immaterial. Because he leaves behind the law that he has set for us. Have no drugs, have no extramarital relationship, have no sex at all of that sort. Be loving, be generous, be kind, give happiness to others at the cost of your happiness, this, that, efface yourself, be humble. All these are the things that are there. What else you want?
That confuses me a little bit.
Yeah, that always that effacement comes with the...
No, it's not effacement. It's the idea of his body is gone, and so what we have to hold on to is
law.
words,
Is law.
what he said.
Yeah.
I feel like I experienced holding on to Baba, through, I don't know, what's conviction made of? Intuition and heart, and the remembrance of times when he has made me feel his presence. To me, that's much more important than his words or the discourses or any of that.
So hold on to that.
Yeah.
So hold on to that. If you are blessed with that, then it's wonderful. They don't hold on to... now a person you see in the sixth plane, when he sees God face to face, he doesn't hold on to what the words of God are. He holds on to the God. to the face of God, you see. It's like that. So there are people, you see, we never remember what he has said and all that. We don't, we, uh, we, we have not to shake ourselves, we have to hold on to him, we have to cling on to him only, we have to adhere to him. We don't try to learn lessons like that. We are living that life, you see. So we are with him. That's how, what you say, the experience that is there, that's a different thing. But for those who have not had the experience, then learn that way and then get that, come to that stage. Yes, sir, we are coming. So there is no confusion whatsoever. These are different stages, you see. Yeah, you have the conviction, that's very good. Go ahead. Who stops you from that? On the contrary, we are very happy about it. Yeah.
I had, and I wanted to get your reaction to it. The whole notion of inner guidance. It occurs to me that one of the real problems people have about really recognizing inner guidance is that they don't really believe that inner guidance is inner. In other words, they don't really believe that it's inside themselves. And so they expect it, to be a voice or to be this or that. And inner implies that you have some responsibility for it. You yourself, us all being part of God, there's some responsibility involved, there's some volition. And that's the way inner guidance happens. It's through our own judgment, it's through our own intuition, it's through our own sense of what's right, sense of, just what we want. Some of it is what we want. And in a way, very subtly, all those things work together with the certainty of knowing that Baba is there with us and that we're trying to please Baba. As that's sort of like the shell around all of this, and that process is what inner guidance is, rather than any sort of, sitting around waiting
for the voice to be heard.
Yeah, for the voice to be heard.
That was exactly my next question. It was exactly let me read it.
What Baba has said on this subject is this. He gave us a good example of Moses. It is said in the scriptures, in the Old Testament, about Moses went to Mount Sinai and he got the commandments for humanity. So naturally the tablets were from the heavens, he received. He must be a good catcher for such heavy tablets to be caught, from them. So what Baba said is that how we are led into believing literally such things. Baba says it's a fact, it's a symbolical representation of what it is. The fact, the truth is that each one of us are given the commandments from heaven, and each one has the tablet within us. It's an inbuilt thing. And we know the commandment, what it is. But the thing is that we are always prone to seek loopholes, and that's why we miss them all the time. So there's no question of wanting to follow my order and all. They are already inherent in you, he says. But if you are sincere, if you are confident about it, then you make use of it. That which is inherent is within you. There is no such thing as extraneous anywhere. But if you wish to be your own angel, guardian angel, you can be. Otherwise you become your own Satan. Both the angel, guardian angel and the Satan are within you. It's you. So what he had said was that we seek from outside, or as you say, that we want to hear the voice, or we want to find out what is right, you see. How I must have that guidance from within. But it is there. Take it, avail of it. But you seek outside that guidance, you see. And you talk about guidance within. It is there, within you. So he gave us that figure of Moses getting the tablets, you see, from the heavens. It was not thrown or anything. It is inherent. And what he expounded was that which is inherent. He exhorted humanity to follow these 10 commandments. The law. That's what it is. Yeah. What is the next
So,
question?
it was good. That was my next question. So that's it. But I get the impression that the inner guidance is woven into our own deep process of feeling what's right for us.
But if you allow the guide to guide you, then it will be guided. You will be guided, you see. But if you become the guide, how will the inner guidance guide you?
Wait.
You know, when you are wanting to follow a guide, you have to follow him.
Yeah.
You are not going to lead.
Yeah.
Do you ever lead your guide?
It's absurd.
It's absurd. So likewise, guidance, inner guidance is to be followed. But what happens is that we lead the inner guidance and make believe that this is how I am guided, you see. But we have to follow it, and then sure enough, you know, you become aware of it. But what happens is that sometimes you are really aware of it, but you try to seek loopholes and you guide
Because of what you
yeah,
want.
what you want.
Is that intuition?
Yeah, that is intuition.
When you have a prompting?
Yeah, that prompting is there. But that prompting is vitiated because of you want it how you want it. You see? So instead of having intuition, you try to tuition your intuition.
What's the seed of intuition? Is it from Baba, or is it from the soul, or is it from individual mind or mental body? Or?
It is from us within our mental body. Yeah.
But it's higher knowing.
Yeah, this higher knowing. It is, you may call it, nature's benediction.
Always right. Yeah.
Always right. Provided you seek it
And follow it.
and follow it.
Okay. Any more?
Yeah. Time pass.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, Baba clearly explained that after 100 years his avataric pressure, as he called it, or universal influence, would begin to gradually diminish until the next advent. But what did he say about his inner availability to individual lovers? Will his inner availability and communicativeness with individual lovers also diminish after 100 years?
It depends upon the intensity with which you are in communion with him. The individual is in communion with him. On the contrary, yeah, it diminishes, because with the passage of time, what happens is that the influence of his advent, of his physical presence, gradually begins to wane with the passage of time. And then, naturally, you become wayward. Individuals become wayward. But there are individuals we have come across, you see, after 6 centuries, 4 centuries, 5 centuries. They avail of his presence and he manifests to them, and they live happily together ever after. Yeah, it's like that. So it depends upon one's own self, you see, how communicative you are to him, how much communion you have with him. That's how it is. Another thing, that it is a fact, this thing happens, you see, wanes, because we get it also in the scriptures. There's a nice little episode, if you remember, Sam, in your Islamic, he's a Mohammedan, you know that, although born Zoroastrian. What I had gathered was that there was a certain, we are digressing a little bit for explanation's sake. So there was a certain person, and from his childhood he had the inclination to find the truth. So he led a life, you see, a straight life, in the sense that, well, he would try to be guided from within, as the topic is, and for that Naturally, he had to silence his mind, still himself, if you wish to be guided. The most important thing for guidance is to still yourself, and then only you will hear the voice. That is how it is traditionally known. Otherwise, no amount. Suppose if you are traveling in a bus, right? And if I am sitting at the other end of the bus, and you recognize me and I recognize you, and I say, "Hi, Bruce," and all that, no amount of my raising the voice and wanting to converse is such an obstruction. You can't hear me, neither can I hear you, unless and until the voice, extraneous noise is stopped. So likewise, that voice needs stilling of oneself. So then you can be guided from inner guidance. So the story is based upon this. What had happened was that this man who was in search of truth, he wanted to still himself totally so that he could feel the inner guidance and be guided. Luckily for him, at that time, the Advent took place and Muhammad was there. You see. So he came in close association of Muhammad. And but he would come and go and visit and go, just as we have these people who visit and go, from Bombay, Pune and other places. So likewise, he was from some other town. He would come and meet him. And now and again, when he is open for the public, he is ready for the public. So that young man, very young, very strong and handsome person, young. So likewise, one day, naturally he is leading a life, dedicated life, thinking about the Lord himself and all that. And he went to an orchard, somebody's orchard. He didn't possess anything. So he went into, there are vast areas of orchards, you see. So he went there and sat under a tree. And as he sat there and he was meditating upon the form of the Lord, what he had said and all that, kidding himself, good kidding, yeah. So he was imagining things, naturally, thinking and imagining. What is that? It's imagining. Stirring his feelings. That stirs the feeling. Imagination is nothing but the stirring rod for the feelings, you see, for the heart. So the feelings surge. You follow? And you feel like getting closer to him, although you are at a great distance. Just then, he heard the noise of the skirt. You know how a woman wearing that gown, or somebody wearing a gown and coming. So he just opened the eye and he saw the most beautiful damsel, the owner of the orchard, you see, coming there. And she is with a smile, wondering who this young man is sitting over here. He took such a great fright, you see, because he was having an inner communion with the Lord. And he said that, "Oh my, I will be lured into temptations," or something like that. So he just ran, and there was nothing but, there was a wall of the compound, you see. He jumped over the wall and ran away. And he went and took solace, you see, at a distance there, and he just again brought back his thoughts and all that. Means he was not at all tempted or anything, but he escaped the temptation by running away from there. Now the story leads. He's in communion with the Lord, because he was at the time of the Advent and all. He used to go and all that. Okay, he's not going to beat a tom-tom like that such a thing happened. It's all inner, all inner. So he's there, and it so happened that after some time, as is usual, the Lord passed away. And he was young still, middle-aged, and he's continuing, he's living on the past, experiences that he had had with the Lord and all that sort of thing. And he's feeling fine and at peace with the world and within himself and all that. He has now grown into a very old man. And when he is really very old and he continues with that, being in communion with the Lord, accidentally it so happened that all of a sudden he is transported to the orchard within himself. And he sees that damsel face to face again, inwardly. And he falls in love with her at this old age. And he continues to make her live there within himself. And immediately, you see, Again, the same mind, the same voice, the same intuition, whatever you call it, tells him, what are you doing? Old man? And then he starts wondering, he says, well, how stupid of me. When I was young, I ran away from this damsel. And now in my old age, I am about to fall in love with her. Why did I do that? That stupidity of mine. Why should I have ran away from him at the time? That was the impact of the Advent, who remained in communion with him. And now that he is falling in love, so he does not know, after passage of so many years, now 50 years have passed by since then, so he feels what has happened to me all of a sudden. So in the night he gets that clear voice, which is called the voice within, the intuition. So he's pondering about this dilemma of his, that what has happened to me? Is this proper for me? Who I profess to love my Lord, I profess to live for him, have led a dedicated life for him, and what has happened to me? How stupid of me, why should I do that? Oh my Lord, why? Why should you create such circumstances for me to relive my youth like this? So the voice tells him that there is no fault of yours, it is the waning of my influence. It's nothing to do with you. The waning of my influence is telling upon you. So it is a fact that this waning of influence, the avataric impact is there. The waning of it is there.
The mind becomes more susceptible to distractions and other appetites.
Yeah, it is. So that's why Baba says that this springtide is so fortunate, you all are so blessed that I am here now. I am in your midst. Although I have passed away from you physically, the impact of it is so great that it is still as if I am physically present with you.
How long does it take to fade away, Eruch?
100 to 200 years. It depends upon his advent again. If it were for 700 years, then it will last for 100 and little more. If it is for after 1400 years he is to come back, then it is 200 and little more. But this time he has said that he will be back within 700 years. In 700 years he said, not within, in 700 years. So it's bound to last for 100 and little more.
Before it begins to fade.
Yeah.
That's from the time you drop the body.
So now just imagine what will happen when it begins to fade. Because even though the impact is here, and how we live, you see. Just imagine
Yes.
to what degree of degradation we will be reduced to.
Sobering thought.
Yeah. So hold on to him, try to be in communion with him, create his presence, kid yourself to be in his presence. Think of things that you will not hesitate to think in my presence. Speak words that you will not hesitate to speak in my presence. Do an act in such a way that you will not hesitate to do an act in my presence. So all these things bring you closer and closer to him, preparing you to live in his presence when he comes again, physical presence. So there is such a thing as waning of the influence. The impact of it is there. It wanes and you succumb to temptations and you are cornered from all sides. But even then you can save yourself, save yourself from being cornered. Don't allow the things that corner you to surround you. Allow yourself to be surrounded by his influence, by him, by his words, by his stories, by his people, by his wherever the footprints are, you see his footprints are, wherever he went and all that. All this happens. Only last night, if Falu and we were talking about it, about this situation in the West. It's not that in the West, but it is in the East also. Why people, you see, who are so close to Baba and all that, and they feel that, well, that they have lived. They want to live together. They want to live a life, you see, with as husband and wife and good parents to their children and all that. In spite of it, it so happens. So much happens in the West. Why is it so? What must be the reason for it and all that sort of thing? He was discussing, and we were discussing these things, you see.
You mean all those separations?
Separations, divorces, and children going astray, and this and that, and gradually the influence is coming towards India also. Same thing. Same thing is happening all over the places now. So, we are, then I reminded him of what had happened at the time of Ram, you see. At the advent of Ram. Yeah. You heard Ram and Krishna? Yeah. So Ram had to, it was so preordained that he had to go, for sannyas. What do you call it?
Exile.
Exile. Not sannyas, it's not called sannyas. What is it called? Vanvas. Vanvas means stay in the forest. One means forest. Vanvas means seclude himself from the world and go out to forest regions. So he had gone out with his spouse, that is Sita, and Lakshman, his younger brother. And the younger brother was the attending on both of them. So he had taken his younger brother. And they were going out, and he would ask Lakshman, go and get some water for us now, we are thirsty. So Lakshman very obediently would go and lovingly go and get water and all. Lakshman, see whether you can find some food for us, go out begging and all that. So he'll go and beg food for him. And years are passing. Mind you, they spent 12 years like that. Eh? So at the end of, I think, about 8 or 9 years, an episode occurred. And what was that? They were moving further south. While they are coming towards south, means they are at the end tip of this country. At some place, Ram simply says, Lakshman, please, we are thirsty. Can you get water? So Lakshman says, why should I? Can't you get water from me? Why don't you go out? Go and get the water if you want to. So Ram and Sita and Lakshman, they all went out in search of water and had water. Then after about some hours, as usual, says, Lakshman, it's time now for lunch. Can you go out for begging or something and get some food for us? Let's have something to eat. What the heck is all this? Why can't you all go out? I'll go with you. Why don't you go out? You see, and so forth. They all go out, and it went on like that. You see. And Lakshman, which is the right place now for us to rest now? Do you think that we should tarry here or go further? Why do you ask me? Why don't you decide for yourself? You see, all the time there will be that back replies being given to the Lord by his brother, younger brother. Lakshman took him to be the Lord, although he was a brother, blood relation, but there is that feeling that he is the Lord. But he behaved like this. Out of the blue he behaved like this. And it went on for some 2-3 days like that. And then they are proceeding, and all of a sudden, Lakshman falls at the feet. While they are walking, Lakshman falls at the feet of the master, means of his brother, and says, my master, forgive me for what I don't know what happened to me. Why did I do like that? All of a sudden it dawns upon me, what am I doing? He says, have no fear, Lakshman. It was the trait of the soil through which we were passing that made you feel that way. You follow?
Trait of the soil.
Means, yeah, the area.
The impressions in the area?
Yeah, the area was such. Have no fear. It's all right. We have gone through that. We have passed that, crossed that. So, there are these things, you see. The areas are such, you see, where such things surface up.
External,
yeah. Yeah, even it is mentioned like that. In the conversation of Ram and Lakshman, there is that conversation there. He says, have no fear, Lakshman. I am well pleased with you. It's nothing for you. I know. We have crossed that. It was no fault of yours, it was the area. The environment was such. Yeah. So such things are there also. which you all called, the vibes at the place. Vibes, yeah.
Wives.
Not wives,
I know, I
vibes.
said wives.
So it's like that. And it is so obvious, one can feel those vibes also sometimes when they are too potent. Yeah, I have that experience. Each one has that experience. Yeah. Certain house, certain place, you don't feel comfortable. And sometimes you feel so homely. It's so good. Yeah. These people who come here, it's the noisiest place I have found, this Meher Azad. I tell you. You just see this, all that, it's like a turbine that is there outside and inside, you see. Yeah, to my mind it is like that all the time. And people coming there say, oh, how peaceful it is. Never find such peace. How peaceful. I said, yeah, it is peaceful. Because of the Lord's residence and all that. We can't say that. You should hear from my ears, you see. I can't say that, but it is a fact, it is so. But these superficial noises have no meaning. But there is something which has an impact upon us. And that is, they feel that peace, that silence. Although the same noise, or even more noise than this. And they have been here and they said that. But there is that peace that prevails, that silence that prevails has an impact upon these people who come. And they find totally different. You see, how beautiful it is, how peaceful it is, how nice it is. That's what they say. And not 1, 2, 3, but invariably we hear these things from strangers who come here. So such things are there. What next?
Well, most of these other questions don't appeal to me now. I don't know where I was at when I wrote them. Let's see. Okay, here, this
No,
one
but
might
whatever, whether they appeal or not, let
Okay.
us remember him.
Good.
Yeah, this is an excuse to remember him. Any excuse would do.
Okay, Baba wants us to be unworried, natural, forgetful of ourselves, and to keep him as our constant companion. Yet when we get preoccupied with so-called spiritual progress or with living up to the words in the discourses, we tend to lose these key qualities and become spiritually self-preoccupied. How shall we strike a balance?
Well, don't be spiritually preoccupied. Be materially preoccupied. To strike the balance, more of the material then. The thing is that, yeah, it is true. We get so preoccupied with our spiritual progress and all that we tend to feel that way. And not only we are so engrossed in the spiritual progress, but at the same time we are rather worried as to we should progress faster. There is no progress. We should have another long jump, you see, in this and so forth. We are worried about it all. But what he has simply said is that the best thing one has to do is, whether you read the discourses or whether you are versed in discourses, well versed in discourses or any other Baba literature or anything of the sort, try to remain aware how much you forget of yourself. The thing is that if while reading the discourses it makes you forget yourself, not forget you, forget yourself, that is spiritual gain. But if it were to remind you of yourself, that's your spiritual loss. Because he wants us, he says the key to your spiritual progress is to forget yourself. It is you who are in the way. If you are not in the way, if you are not, I am. So if you want to come closer to me, progress means coming closer to truth. So anything that you do, anything, suppose you are a physicist, if you are involved in physics or pharmaceuticals or anything of that sort, you see, whatever your vocation be there, put your heart and soul into it, and that is remembering him.
Really?
Yeah, because you're forgetting yourself. No? Yeah, it is astounding, no?
Absorption in anything?
Yeah, anything. Anything of your vocation, your profession, or this or that is there. The way you don't bring in yourself, but you get so absorbed in it, that's remembering him. Baba once said that remember me, remember me. What does that mean? In the beginning I remember when Jack had come, Jack Small, I don't know, it's something with you people there. So he would all the time says, come on, let's hold our hands, you see, and we'll Baba, 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 Baba. I said, what, Jack? What is it? I still remember did he come in 1969, Jack?
Yes. Jack was there.
Yeah, he used to hold our hands and sit in a circle and says, come on, let's remember him. Baba, Baba, Baba. That's good in a way. There's nothing wrong in that. But that is not the thing to remember him. Because we are just like parrots repeating the name of Baba. It's good. There's no harm in it. It's really good because it will lead to that. But this is not the thing that he has said, you see. Yeah. Remember me more and more. How will you remember me? He has said that. By forgetting yourself more and more. What you have to do is to forget yourself, and that is remembering. So these are the various techniques: meditation, concentration, doing service, getting absorbed in your vocation. All these are the things that will make you think of yourself less. And that is remembering him more. You follow? That's how it is.
It's just getting absorbed.
And then we would just stand and look at them, we'll chat among ourselves. Seeing the 3 or 2 of them there, 3 or 4 others join them. And they, you know how a crowd gathers, you see. So we were all in the habit of that, nothing strange to us. It was simple. So a huge crowd gathered and we are sitting. Out of that, one woman tells, old woman, very old, she was with a stick in her hand. So she was standing there and I was sitting here. Baba is here somewhere. So she says, pointing at Baba, how handsome, how beautiful this young man is. Baba was young at that time. So he doesn't speak. So he says, no, he doesn't speak. He says, you know, you have come at the right place. You know the tomb there, it's nearby, it's about half a mile from here. If you go on the railway track, you go there. Why you are whiling your time? Take him there. Yeah. And